Alright, hey folks, I just wanted to give a little disclaimer. So for one of my previous videos, the dark lies from history taught in school, I kind of bungled up some of my wording, and it really sounds like I am a flat earther, which is the opposite of the truth. So yeah, just something to keep in mind for that video. Anyway, let's get on with this one now. The Sahara Desert is one of the harshest environments on Earth. Vast stretches of arid land, scorching temperatures, and limited water sources. The desert experiences extreme temperature fluctuations with hot days and very cold nights, but the Sahara isn't just a barren wasteland. It holds a number of secrets hidden beneath its surface. I'm your host James, and these are the top 10 disturbing discoveries found buried in the Sahara Desert. And we're starting off this list with Gobero. In the Sahara Desert in Niger stands Gobero, consisting of 8 archaeological sites. It was discovered in 2000 by a team of researchers led by Paul Serrano. The graveyard dates back to the Holocene period, about 10,000 years ago. The site gave archaeologists a wealth of info about early human societies in a once habitable Sahara. There were tons of burials there, both human and animal, giving researchers a small window into the lifestyle and burial practices of the people who once lived there. It looks like there was a mix of hunter-gatherer and farmer communities. Human remains, along with cattle and other animals, showed that there was a coexistence of early humans and domesticated animals in the area. The graveyard's location is now an arid desert, but at one time it was a lush, lively area with lakes and vegetation, and the aquatic and land fauna in the grave sites showed that there was a shift from a healthy green environment to the desert landscape of today. All of this is really cool, but I don't think I need to do a lot of explaining as to why finding a vast area in the desert full of buried human bones would also be kind of eerie. Number 9. The 6-foot catfish. In 2017, a previously undiscovered prehistoric species was discovered, buried in the sands of Egypt. It was named Quarmatus hitanensis, which was basically a massive sized catfish that was swimming around 37 million years ago. It was actually 6.5 feet long, which is horrifying. And anatomically, these things were basically identical to modern day catfishes, just scaled up, of course. Not the scariest prehistoric sea creature by a long shot, because call me crazy, but I actually think catfish are kind of cute. But any animal larger than your average human being is just kind of intimidating to me, even if they are cute. And at number 8, we have the Nabta Stones. The Nabta Stones are a collection of ancient structures located in the Nubian desert. This formation of stones date back around 6,000 to 7,000 years ago, during the late Neolithic period. The site was first discovered in the 70s by a team of scientists led by Fred Wendorf, an American archaeologist. The Nabta Stones are a series of these flat granite slabs and megaliths arranged in a circular and semi-circular pattern. The stones vary in size, some weigh several tons. It's still a bit of a mystery as to what they were used for. Some scholars think they were used as an early form of a calendar. The alignment of the stones with specific astronomical events also means that the ancient people who built them had a sophisticated understanding of astronomy and were capable of precise measurements. The stones are also associated with the ancient cattle cult that existed in the region. Archaeological evidence suggests that people who built the stones were farmers who relied on cattle for their livelihood. The stones feature carvings and depictions of cattle, showing the importance of these animals in the religious and cultural beliefs of these ancient people. But the exact purpose of the stones, the identity of the people who built them, and the true extent of their knowledge about astronomy and agriculture are still relatively mysterious. Next up, we have the Sahara ghost towns. Ghost towns are always creepy. It's hard not to feel uneasy in a village completely void of people. Even empty buildings at night just give us the creeps. So imagine being in an ancient abandoned town in the middle of the Sahara Desert. Jado is an abandoned settlement in the northeastern region of Niger, near the border with Libya and Algeria. One time the town was a thriving community inhabited by the Tuareg people, nomadic Berber tribes who roamed the Sahara. The town was once a trading post and an oasis in the desert. Jaddo was located on the trade routes that cross the Sahara, connecting North Africa with West Africa. It consists of mud brick buildings, some that are several stories in height. Its decline began in the late medieval period, partly due to changes in these trade routes. Eventually, everyone up and left, leaving many of the structures still standing. Droughts and a lack of water were probably a big part of this mass exodus. Today, the crumbling mud brick structures are now weathered by the harsh desert conditions, and the streets that were once bustling with activity are completely empty, a time capsule of a long forgotten time. Number 6, the giant crocodile. In 2014, paleontologists found the remains of Machymosaurus rex in the Sahara Desert, an ancient marine reptile that lived during the Jurassic period. This was a massive creature, dwarfing modern-day crocs. Measured twice the length of the ones we have now. It would have weighed over 6,000 pounds. One of the craziest things about these creatures, or this discovery, was the size of its skull. Its skull alone was more than 5 feet long, which is around the height of one of the archaeologists who discovered it. This discovery was also big because up until this point, scientists thought the species had died off in the Jurassic period, but the fossil was actually dated back to the Cretaceous, meaning these creatures were alive a lot longer than they once thought. Next on the list, we have another massive-sized fossil, the Archaeoceti fossil. Just over 90 miles southwest of Cairo lies Whale City. The region earned its name due to the remarkable abundance of high-quality marine fossils found here. One of the biggest discoveries in this fossil-rich valley was the Archaeoceti fossil. These were ancient whales belonging to a long extinct suborder. One of the largest Archaeoceti skeletons found in the valley stretched an impressive 69 feet in length. What sets this particular discovery apart from others, or what sets this type of whale apart from the ones we have now, is that they had hind legs, feet, and toes. And this meant these guys actually traversed on land, hinting at a time when these creatures might have ventured onto land in pursuit of prey or during specific phases of their life cycle. Next, we have yet another monstrous fossil discovery, this one of a Spinosaurus, one of the coolest dinosaurs to ever roam the earth. In 2014, one of the most significant discoveries in paleontology occurred in the Sahara Desert, the unearthing of a giant Spinosaurus fossil. Spinosaurus was a massive dinosaur, one of the largest carnivorous dinosaurs ever to have roamed the earth. The first Spinosaurus remains were found nearly a century ago in Egypt, but during World War II, these fossils were lost when an Allied bomb struck a museum in Munich. What was left behind were just a few surviving drawings of the dino, and for years the scientific community was left with just fragments, unable to do further research on the beast. Fast forward to 2014 though, when paleontologists struck gold in the expanses of the Sahara, specifically in eastern Morocco. The discovery of the new Spinosaurus fossil gave scientists the chance to once again delve deeper into the details of this gigantic monster. At our number 3 spot, we have the Eye of Sahara. The Eye of Sahara, also known as the Richat structure, is a massive circular formation that looks almost like a giant eye in the middle of the desert. It spans approximately 30 miles in diameter and can be easily seen from space. For a long time, scientists believe it to be an impact crater formed by a meteorite hitting the Earth, but turns out this isn't the case. Geologists now think that it's a highly eroded geological dome created by the uplift of deep-seated rocks and then erosion over millions of years. Even this isn't universally accepted by all scientists though. There's still some mystery behind this formation. And of course, when there's mystery, there are more fantastical theories. I've heard stuff along the lines of the Eye of Sahara being part of the remains of the lost city of Atlantis. The circular structure matches Plato's description of Atlantis being surrounded by a series of concentric circles. Some have also speculated that maybe ancient alien activity could be the cause, believing that the formation's perfect circular shape is just too precise to be a natural occurrence and must have been created by extraterrestrials. What's very clear though is that the Eye of Sahara is a pretty spectacular sight. In 2012, a team of workers from a Polish oil company made a surprising discovery in the vast expanse of the Sahara Desert. During their expedition, they stumbled upon the wreckage of a British Royal Air Force fighter plane, a Kitty Hawk P-40, that had crashed there nearly 70 years earlier during World War II. The pilot of the plane would have been Flight Sergeant Dennis Copping, who had gone missing while defending Egypt from the German invasion of North Africa. But Copping himself was nowhere to be found. It was clear that he'd survived the initial crash, though. Not only were there no bones, but a parachute was discovered, which had been repurposed to form a makeshift shelter. It's believed that he might have survived the crash and initially sought refuge near the wreckage, but running out of food and water, he eventually would have ventured out into the desert, hoping to find help or civilization, but his true fate remains a mystery. There were no other clues as to his whereabouts. And finally, we have another long-lost city, Timgad. Timgad, located at the edge of the Sahara Desert, is an ancient Roman city in present-day Algeria. The city remained hidden beneath the sand for nearly 1,000 years. Founded by Emperor Trajan around 100 AD, Timgad was strategically positioned as a military colony, a vital outpost in the Roman Empire's network. The city's layout was meticulously planned. It had a grid system with well-defined streets, public buildings, and residential areas. Timgad thrived for several centuries. It had impressive structures, a grand arch, a theater, basilicas, temples. But Timgad started to decline at the fall of the Roman Empire. The city succumbed to economic challenges, it was invaded. Eventually the city was abandoned, gradually fading into obscurity, buried beneath layers of sand. It wasn't until the 19th century that the ruins were rediscovered by European archaeologists, and what was left of the city was remarkably well preserved. With all that said though, I've been your host James, and I'll catch you, yes you specifically, in the next video.